Hi, sorry, back after a bit of a break again, I beg your pardon, but I'm gonna keep going from where I left off, where it's just exploring a whole series of mark making for collages and so on. I wanted paper that wasn't too thick, so this is 150-gram cartridge paper. Well, what I sort of realised the potential of plastic is, and which we seem to be overlooking a bit. So not only, do we get really lovely papers that have these plastic finishes on them that create these gorgeous holographic effects. We have these foiled papers, and we have plastic itself. So there's a bag, and I really liked the textures and stuff on this bag, so I thought we'd try some of that. Cut it up, paint it, see what happens, and also cling film sort of wrap, which I'm sure you've all used before, but I'm just going to stick it down and see what I get out of it. I'm not going to worry about longevity with these. I'm going to use PVA glues that I've got. I mean, the good quality PVA glues. You could go and use the gloss mediums or the matte mediums, because we know that they're made specifically to work with acrylics, and they are going to have a longevity. I did in fact decide to go forward using the acrylic medium, so I'm just putting some acrylic medium on here, and then I'm going to add one side tin foil and the other side is going to be cling film. Plenty on the paper. I just want to get a fair amount of glue on that side as well. Okay, loads of nice glue. Get your piece of paper. I'm using paper because I don't want it to be too dense. And I've got a load on there. And then scrunch it up. And if there's bits left over, it doesn't matter. If there's bits not quite to the edges, because we're going to cut this up in any case. Nice scrunches. That'll do. Trim this edge. And stick any extra bits down that I want to stick down. Make sure it's gone down. There we go. And now, same on the other side, make sure there's enough glue on that side to the edge. Get your bits of cling film. These I use to wrap my paintings up. And goodness knows why I'm using a fresh bit. I've got tons of bits left over. I may as well just use them up. So I'll do that one. So I'm also going to try bits of plastic as well. And I've got other bits like so. So I'm just going to make sure enough glue again. And really, see, the acrylic medium is just a binder, but it's all plastic based, isn't it? So it'll be interesting just to see how it all comes out. And what you can use this for, because you can just develop and develop it, can't you? Turn it into landscapes or anything that you want to. I think it not being fresh, I've already got the sort of tensions that it's made when it was pulled around the paintings, so we're just getting that one type of patterning, and I want a bit more really. I want it more all over the place, but we'll see. It's only, no, I'm not doing that one. Go for another one like this. I just want to see how it goes. And really, it's all just plastics. Except for tin foils, but that's, I wanted something a bit more arbitrary. Do that again. Put the this side, paint it over, bang it down on this, just see what happens. So let those dry. You can also put more medium on it just to seal it all and make sure it's all nice and stuck down and all the textures are going to stay in place. Okay, that's one. Put it somewhere it'll dry. Here's another piece. This time just brilliant stuff. I've made a sheet bigger than the actual piece of paper because I want to scrunch it up onto there so it has texture as well as this holographic type look. In fact, I'll use a piece of clean thing so it doesn't stick on there. Right, let's see how this goes. Down. Oh, it's lovely. It sticks really well, actually. It makes some really nice creases. It's because it's so plastic that it works so well. Just want some more glue on there. And allow it to move a bit more. Just all dried really quickly. Just move that about the place a bit. To absorb the... There, you see. Honestly, that's lovely. I've got a really interesting set of marks there. Put that down. So. Okay, another layer of the glue on top. Just gluing underneath all the folds, see if I can get them to lie down, but it's such a thick consistency they don't really want to. Oh, that's lovely. And then they become pretty substantial with the layers of it on. I've decided to use a PVA bonding agent, mixing it with a bit of water to dissolve it down a bit because this is very thick. I think it's probably quite old. So mix it so that it's an even consistency. And also, like, I'm putting it on this paper that I've got here, and the paper's quite hard. I want it to soften a bit because I want it to really crumple up when I apply it to the paper. So I've got a piece of cartridge paper, 150 gram paper that's already got some PVA glue, well, some bonding agent on, which is basically diluted PVA glue, which I have diluted a little further. I splush it over with the edges, and it's quite wet because I wanted it to feel pliable, be pliable, because it's so much bigger than the actual piece of paper, and I wanted it to scrunch up and be soft. So I'm sort of considering it's probably a bit like a papier-mâché type feeling to it. slightly malleable, just so that I can use it all up on this piece of paper. I'm not worried about where the creases go because I'm not after a particular sort of line or anything. I just want anything that's going to happen. And I'm hoping this all just shrinks down as it dries because it's so malleable. Now that it's soaked in the very wet glue, and I'm hoping it makes some really nice marks. So, which I can then paint over again. But I've got these gorgeous sweetie paper type looks. You could do it with anything, and that's another good idea. After your Christmas, save all your sweetie wrappers, stick them all down, and paint them or use them as a sort of collage piece. So I've just put a PVA layer on there as well to make it stick down. So I've got that one, this one which is foil, and that is cling film. I have a lovely piece of holographic paper, so I've done the same with it, and I'm just going to do a number of different tests. And all I'm thinking is that there's loads and loads of possibilities with plastics which we don't use, because plastics have these and are built to have this incredible strength, aren't they? You know, they're built to last, and we all know how much they are polluting the environment. There was this one as well. I really liked this bag. I liked the texture within it, and I was going to cut that up and see how that did. And of course there's clear plastics you can use. We all have loads of clear plastic bags left over from things. So these, I thought I would paint some papers first, put some colour on them, and then stick them on, and then paint them and see what happens. I've begun with a piece of paper. I have used 150-gram cartridge paper. I got a clear plastic bag which is both ripped and cut. I've got some acrylic paint here, and I want a light eggshelly blue. I'm really not bothered, as you can see. I'm using up what I've got. There's obviously a yellow that's not dry on this palette, but it's a nice effect, so I'm going to go with it, because I'm just going to see what happens. I mean, you could be much more careful than I am with this, and much more consistent, less slapstick than I am. But what I thought was the paint itself might be so tacky when it was this thick that it would actually stick to the plastics. But I'm not sure that's going to be the case, because the paper absorbs it so quickly. But I was wondering if I could just stick them down as is, you know, at this point. But I want them to stay stuck. So you can to a degree, can't you? But in any case, the theory behind it is that it'll actually resist, you know, it'll dry. You could even lift it off, couldn't you? No, it's stuck down. It'll dry and the colours underneath will stay if you paint it again. So I'm thinking that I'm going to paint over the top of this at a later stage and see what effect the plastics have on it. I want it to become part of plastics. I should have been more patient and waited till it dried and then put the plastics down. So I'll leave that to dry now, and then I'll put some plastics down afterwards. Right, so it's near enough dry. I'm now going to apply my bits of plastic. So just put your glue on. So that was acrylic size, acrylic medium, I beg your pardon. I just want a bit of, see there's a bit of brown off it, I just want it off. And then start gluing down your pieces of plastic onto what's already existing there. Just make sure every bit goes down so it seals. And then there should be bits that are actually us preventing from being painted over in some respects by the plastic. So there should be a whole load of different looks that come about this at the end, but we shall see. I don't want to put too much plastic on because I don't want to seal everything. I do want to see what it does, but even this medium will seal stuff. But of course you'll be able to wipe it off these top plastic pieces, won't you? We'll see. Might be ever hopeful here. And I think what I'm trying to do is get a bit of a combination between the two. The actual plastic, the sheet, the see-through sheet, and the acrylic underneath. There we go. Right, and let that dry. I think it would have been better if I had just glued the plastic strip. I'll try that next time. So I also wanted to show you, this is a piece of paper that's been painted in acrylics, and then I'm applying plastics to it. But this time what I'm doing, the paper is dry, I get the piece of paper, the piece of plastic, and apply the glue to the back. And I'm going to do half of this with the diluted bonding agent, PVA bonding stuff, and half of this with acrylic binding glue, just to see how it works and how much you can see. But you can see you get these lovely patterns just from the way that the plastic lies on the piece of paper. So when I finished it, I'll cut it in, when it's finished and dry, I'll cut it in half and show you the different sides. So you can see that's where the PVA and water-based glue was underneath the plastic strips. And this is where the acrylic gloss medium one is underneath the plastic strips. And it does seem to stick it down much better, but we'll have to see what the results are. Right, so for this one I've put PVA bonding agent just onto a piece of paper, covered it with a piece of paper. Done the same with my piece of newspaper, and this time I'm just going to stick newspaper down and not worry about it, you know, because doesn't matter if I've got white bits, it doesn't matter if I tear it, I can layer it, just make sure it's all stuck down. The only thing is with this is, of course, this is a plastic glue and it will seal it. If I had used my cellulose glue, it wouldn't seal it. It would still be absorbent to the paint. So in fact this is going to have a very different effect to if I used cellulose. So I will show you comparison. We'll do it with the paper with this, and then we'll do it with the paper with cellulose glue. I'm just really bunging it on and then trying to leave the sort of papier-mâché type look of the papers. I'm just going to put another piece on. I'll wet this up with glue, and then I won't show it how I did it, but I will do a piece with cellulose. So we have the cellulose bit and the one with the PVA glue, and just see how differently they behave. You don't have to use it all. You can tear it off. What you want is the nice little creases, don't you? And all this will just shrink back as it dries as well. I want the nice bits where it's creased. So I want to use it like it is a papier-mâché. You're almost like making papers again, aren't we? Since I've got enough that I'm happy with, and I've no idea what result I'm getting yet, so it doesn't really matter. And I'm hoping it all shrinks back, becomes a bit more solid. And you could do it far more, you know, carefully and precisely than I have done. Just dip that into the glue itself. I just want these lovely wrinkles and stuff. There, that'll do. And see what happens. Right, put that to one side to dry. So you end up with a number of pieces of paper, all the different attributes that you're going to use to try and experiment with paint and results, and whether you like them or not in your collage. So I've got the paper, the plastic bag, the painted paper with the plastic on it, 2 pieces of that, a piece of newspaper with size on it, plastic size, the PVA size. That's a piece of newspaper with acrylic gesso on it, because I just thought I'd try it. I didn't show that in the demos. And the things in the demos, the foil, the holographic paper, the wrapping paper and the cling film. And the next video will be about painting them, because painting them is a skill in itself and requires time and attention. And this video would be too long if I did that. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you again. All the best.